So I just got through watching Text Me When You Get Home. This story takes place in Denver. It's about a young lady named YULISSA. She's age 19. Now, YULISSA enjoyed the club scene. In fact, she was out with a group of friends when she left to go to the bathroom and never came back. Kenya left her purse and her cell phone at the bar. So when her family gets a hold of this information and her phone, they look through it for clues, naturally. They noticed that Kenya had a couple of people in her phone texting her that night. One person being her boyfriend, who she was living with at the time, the bouncer from the club, and this guy named Travis. So in typical police fashion, they question the boyfriend first. The boyfriend goes in and he says, we were getting ready to split up anyways. I wasn't having enough freedom and, we were just getting too serious, which that doesn't coincide with his text messaging because he was saying, where are you, who are you with, and are you being good? But police don't have anything on him and they end up letting him go. Now, as detectives are doing their own investigation, Dad's got his own thing going as well. Now, Dad is Kenya's stepdad, but he said that's his daughter, so period. Dad looks in the phone and he says, Travis is a little weird. I'm going to call him. He rings his phone off the hook until he picks up. Travis picks up and offers to meet Dad at the gas station. Dad says, oh, hell yeah, let's meet. He gets off the phone and he tells his wife Maria and his daughter Kim, I'm going to go meet this Travis at the gas station. He grabs his firearm and he leaves. Now, as Dad is pulling up to the gas station, he sees the police are already there. Apparently, his wife called the police ahead of time and said, my husband's going to meet this guy at the gas station. I know him. Please intervene. So police tell Dad, I'm going to talk to you. Then I'm going to talk to Travis. And then after they're done talking to Travis, they ask Dad, do you want to talk to him? Because he wants to talk to you. Dad says yes. He goes over and questions Travis. Travis says that he met Kenya on the side of the road. She was talking to a homeless man. He offered her a ride. She accepted. She got in. They stopped at a gas station on the way to her boyfriend's house. Now, Travis claims that at the gas station, she ran into this guy, asked him for a cigarette. They started speaking Spanish to one another, and she ended up staying with this guy. Now, his name is Dan. Dad says that Travis looks like a regular, run-of-the-mill guy. He seems like a nice guy. He's clean-cut, shaven. He didn't seem like too much of a threat. However, as he was talking to him, the white van behind him, which he did drive Kenya around in, smelled like bleach. And when he shook his hand, when the conversation concluded, he noticed that he trembled inwardly. Now, his outside looked very chill, calm, and collected. Now, Dad says this is kind of when he knew the truth, but he held on to hope for the rest of his family. So police bring Travis in for questioning. He tells the same exact story. Police also question the bouncer, and he says, yes, I kicked her out of the club, her and this guy. They question the guy, and he says, yes, she came to my apartment at the Lofts. She used the bathroom. She left by herself. They look at surveillance footage, and it corroborates with his story. Yes, she left on her own. She didn't spend much time in the apartment. She went across the street to another building, used their bathroom, and then she went to the side of the road. That's where she met Travis. So at this point, they're looking for a guy named Dan. Now, a few days go by, and there's still no sign of Kenya. But Travis's supervisor at the bakery that he works at, this is the reason why he's driving this white van in the first place, she comes in and says, I found something suspicious. Now, she says that she goes into her bakery and discovers that the cameras had been unplugged. Apparently, they were unplugged that same night that Kenya went missing. She went back and reviewed the footage and finds out that Travis was there when it had happened. Not only that, but Travis brought in a large white cooler that was taped up. He put it in the fridge, and every time someone came in and went into that fridge, he followed behind them. Now, police search for this cooler. It's nowhere to be found. They look in the van, and it smells of bleach, but there's no proof that Kenya was in the front or in the back. After 2 weeks of Kenya being missing, Travis goes out of his way to do an interview with the local news station. Now, he's on TV talking to this reporter, saying that he feels so bad. He wish he could have intervened. Whoever this guy Dan is, he hopes that they find him. And then he says, what was her name again? The reporter says, Kenya. He says, right, Kenya. Then he starts to make himself cry. He's rubbing at his dry ass eyeballs, and people get on this news channel's website once they post a video saying, I don't believe him. He's a liar. Travis is a creep. He's the one who did it. After about a month of Kenya being missing, Travis goes missing as well. Now, apparently, Travis's girlfriend says that he was with her that night that Kenya went missing. But she just so happened to be the one to call in a police report about her truck being stolen by Travis. They search for this truck and find it in Fort Collins, Texas. Now, this just so happens to be a college town. It's very clubby, a lot of young girls walking around. But police aren't able to do anything about him missing. I mean, it's just very suspicious. But that's when a woman is assaulted out in Fort Collins. She was going into her home and the person forced himself in. He assaulted her and he beat her within an inch of her life. He then bleached her, set her house on fire. She ended up having to jump out of the second-story window. By the time rescue services got there, she was barely audible, but she did motion and tell them that she had been assaulted. Shortly after that, she had a stroke and ended up in a coma. Police are unable to connect Travis to this incident. However, they do call him in about the stolen truck. Now they're holding him and trying to piece things together when the girlfriend suddenly drops the charges. Now they're forced to let Travis go. Police do not get off his ass though. They contact Denver police and they all get together and correspond with one another. They start to follow Travis wherever he goes and they end up intervening between him and two women. It's the same each time. It's evening time. The woman is walking down the street on her own. Then Travis starts to trail her, starts to try to make a conversation with her. Police step in, separate him from the woman, let her go, and then they question him. Now, the first time they stopped him, they asked him what his name was. He lied about his identity. Then the next time they catch him, he's walking aside another woman, starts to try to talk to her. They step in, she goes. They question him and they bring him in because he lied about his identity before. As he's in police custody, they get a warrant to test him for his DNA. That's when they're able to connect him to the woman who had the house fire. They book Travis and they take this as an opportunity to ask him about Kenya. He says, okay, I'll tell you what happened to Kenya. I'll even tell you where to find her body. But you can't label me as a predator. And I can't get the chair. Police say, okay. Travis takes police to find Kenya's body. As they're in a field next to this highway, Travis says, take 2 steps to the right. Detective takes 2 steps to the right. Travis says, you're standing right on top of her. They put a tent up and they eventually dig. They find Kenya. Now, detectives note that she was in the fetal position. The detective who was working the case made sure to call the family ahead of time to let them know before things hit the news. The family is devastated, of course. And Kenya's younger sister, Kim, writes Travis a letter in prison. She simply lets him know that she is praying for him. Now, Travis responds to her with a 6-page letter. Now, they did not let us see the entire letter, but they did highlight one sentence. Now, I'm going to put a picture of this sentence up, and I hope that anyone who was ever victim blamed or anyone who has ever blamed a victim remembers this and never forgets it. This is the beautiful Kenya. And the woman who chose not to be named, whose house was set on fire, she is doing well now. She recovered after her coma. She's got some damages to her throat, but she's now a full-time yoga instructor in Fort Collins. And Dad started an organization that helps families whose family members have been hurt.